Okay, we'll start in about 1 minute. Call this meeting of the Henry County Council, November 13th. To order, please stand for a pledge and a short prayer. Okay, we have several minutes to approve. Looks like we have October the 9th was our last regular meeting for the October. We had a special meeting on October 24th. And we had one, the original itinerary said the 8th, but it's actually the 1st of November. What say you? Any corrections or motion to approve? Let's do the October ones first. Have a motion for October the 9th. Anybody?
I didn't have a chance to review them yet, so.
I've reviewed all
You sent them right
three.
after the meeting again, I think.
I reviewed all three. I would make the motion to approve all three.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Harold. Any discussion, corrections, updates? I didn't see any either. I did look over them. If not, all in favor of approving all 3 minutes that we've had in the last month, say aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
So it passes. Betsy's not on yet. And Mike's not here. 1, 2, 3,
On our way home.
passes 4 with 1 abstention. Thank you. Just FYI, I got a note, Mike won't be here. His father's not doing well at all. So might keep him in your prayers as well. Added on this afternoon, we have to our itinerary, we have an EDC update and possibly a ready update from Corey Murphy. Corey.
Real briefly, in regards to Ready 2, earlier today, the county commissioners approved an agreement, a professional services agreement with United Consulting for the design, bidding, and inspection services for the water and sewer project out in Memorial Park. They also volunteered Steve Dellinger to be the point person from the county commissioners on that project. And then I'm in the process of asking the park board to appoint someone or volunteer someone to attend the coordination meetings in advance of starting design. The first step in the design process is to do a survey. And so we don't want to survey the wrong area. We want to come to an agreement on the routing of the water pipes and the sewer pipes first, and then we can proceed with the survey. All told, it's about a 6-month process to be ready to go out to bid. And so the timing, I think, works out really well, even though I don't have a full approval yet from the IEDC. I just asked Kenan to sign some match documentation letters reflecting what you already approved at a recent meeting in regards to the food and beverage match to the Ready 2 projects. And that is a part of the approval process. It's documentation that is needed to share with the state to continue along their process. I'm still in the same position I was at your special meeting. I think approval is expected, but not guaranteed. That concludes my update unless you have questions. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I saw watching the commissioners meeting, Steve Dellinger was thrilled that he was nominated for that position. I didn't know he could do a cartwheel. Chamber is not here. Shonda said she wouldn't, Cindy said she might, and she is not here. So we'll move on to additional appropriations. We have from Memorial Park additional appropriations for the superintendent, the amounts shown on your itinerary, secretary, general labor for a total of $14,785. Going over this seems to be all legitimate, and I would accept a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Susan, seconded by Shannon. Any discussion? Not all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Betsy's still not on, so again, it's, this time it's 5-0 passing. Now we have, general fund. Additional appropriations, quite lengthy this time of year, November and December meetings, especially November meetings. This is the bulk of what we have to address as a council. First, we have the county council reclassification. We put things in there for said purpose, $489,620 to have a motion or discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to approve that amount, but I'm going to preface it with a statement and ask clarification. My understanding is that's the total dollar amount out of the general fund for the wage changes from September through December. That's for all departments out of the general fund. The ones we just did out of Memorial Park were done separately because they're paid out of a different fund. We will also do the highway department's wage changes later on because they're out of a different fund. I think it's also important to note that I don't believe the health department needed an additional to cover those because they are paid out of a different fund as well. Neither did 911. So with that, I will make the motion to approve the $489,620 in reclassification that will be dispersed to departments for wages.
Motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion from Shannon, seconded by Susan. Thank you for those clarifications. Appreciate that. Because probably those had some questions out there. And I was going to say, Angela did say she was okay. And I think with the PSAP, we're finding that 911 is fine as well, which happy that that's the case. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion for the additional appropriation out of general fund? Aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 5-0. Commissioners. Didn't know if you were wanting to say anything. Listed on your itinerary, we have 9,000 for maintenance, 60,000 social security, 40,000 retirement, 21,000 building liability, ETC, comprehensive mental health, 18,170, computer equipment and programs, 26,650. Any discussion? I'm assuming the social security retirement's similar. It's an additional.
Yeah, those are related to the wages.
Right.
There was discussion at the meeting this morning about that 26,650. Can you elaborate at all?
And Brian, I may need you to explain some of the more technical stuff that they've been working on with the new firewalls that are being put in and the licensing. Originally, when it was being presented to us, it looked like it was going to be $26,500 for that. They were able to get it reduced down. But I will say, based upon this appropriation, we did approve HyperReach to replace Nixle on that. But they were able to get the licensing down for that. And the emergency management to communicate with citizens is very important. So I would hope that you would still approve the 26,500.
What's listed as 26,650.
Or 650, sorry.
That's why
I've had a lot of numbers in my head today. 26,650, excuse me, I'm sorry.
understandable.
Yep.
Any other questions? If not, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Been moved by Susan, seconded by, was it Kyle or Harold?
Harold.
Harold, thank you. If there's no other discussion, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Betsy,
Hi, I'm so sorry, guys. It's been a day. And I'm sorry I look like the Unabomber. I'm wearing sunglasses indoors now because my eyes are just really sensitive. It's been a day, it's been a week. I'm gonna abstain because I didn't hear everything Bobby had to say. I'm
that
not
was
a
going to be my question. So
Just-
as it is, it passes 5-0 and Betsy abstained. Thank you. Sheriff, we have a vehicle maintenance of $55,000. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to hear Josh's explanation of the 55,000.
Well, he's here, so we get to hear it.
You're gonna need to push the
Hold
button.
on, there we go. I think we projected this when County Highway stopped working on our vehicles. Believe we were paying them right around $22 an hour. And that's went up approximately $75 an hour. Of course, inflation as well, parts probably went up 10-15% increase. So I think we had some discussion on this earlier in the year and we all projected it. We just wasn't sure where we would land. But that would be the reason for that increase.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Shannon, seconded by Susan. I'll simply say, speaking to Joe Copeland a couple years ago, he had some discussion with State Board of Accounts or some conference he went to and said, we can't keep doing this maintenance thing out of the highway department. It's for highway and not everybody in the county. So that correction was made. So it's been moved and second. If there's no other discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're up to 6-0 passing. Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
I'll point out that that line is $31,371 in the red right now. So that doesn't give them the $13,000 to get through the end of the year. 23,000. Since yesterday? Holy cow. Yeah. The money goes fast.
It doesn't take much these days. Okay, moving on to jail, we have, request from a general, 11,600 for training and $6,100 for janitorial services for a total of 71,000. There's any discussion? If not, after discussion, have a motion.
I'll say that the 11,600 I have been told was for Lexapol and the reviewing of jail policies. So Josh, if you want to speak to that, that'd be great.
Yes, actually, the 11,600, we actually, we were paying for some of that out of commissary, and we had an unexpected payment in December. We actually don't need the full. Yeah, we actually don't need the full 11,600. We worked it out with Lexapol, that we can break that into quarterly payments. I won't complain if we get the 11,600. However, we did make a $3,000 payment to them, and we'll be due for another 3,000 payment, but the remainder can wait until next year. If
So
need-
you're asking for 6,000 now?
No, 3,000.
Okay.
We went ahead and paid 3,000 of that earlier, and we'll be, I'm not 100% sure. I know that, yes. When we implemented these, we had to implement them. We needed to update our policies, but it was 25,000 to implement it, get it going. So then every year it's 11,600. So for the updates, well, that bill came due December. And so we reached an agreement with them. If we pay you some now, and then we have another payment that they would like us to pay in December, I believe is what Ann was saying. The remainder can be paid next year.
Where do you, where do you expect it to be paid from next year? Is that,
It's actually in our budget next year. We have,
okay.
Yeah.
So that'll be in a budget line for next year
yeah,
request.
I think we're going to be in better shape next year, honestly, with the budget.
Appreciate hearing that.
Can you tell us about the $6,100 for janitorial services?
Yes, we were paying a company to come in once a week to do a cleaning. It just wasn't enough. So we found that we needed more services. So they come in and do a thorough cleaning of the whole place, or the office area. But it just wasn't, it wasn't keeping up. We wasn't able to keep it clean like we want to keep it clean. So they come in a second time and do a partial cleaning. So that was, and like everything else, inflation. But that is the main element to that, is it just wasn't getting the job done. The one time for that entire office area, squad room, detective division, it just wasn't keeping it clean.
Other questions? Questions satisfied? Maybe
Questions are satisfied. I'm not certain that I'm
in agreement?
in agreement with overspending without authorization.
Yes, it's not preferred.
So there's $3,000 due to Lexapol by the end of the year is what I understand. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that was agreed to with them outside of the budget,
Right.
okay? With the intent that it would be paid for out of commissary or?
When we first implemented it, we just paid for it out of commissary because we had nothing in the budget to pay for it. It needed to get done, so we did it. I guess I lost track on when that year was up, and it just happens to be in December of this year when the bill came due. I was hoping it was next year when we actually budgeted. So I guess I lost sight on when we implemented it and when the year was going to be up.
So these expenses are somewhat different than like inmate medical, which is uncontrollable. So when you come and say you need more money for inmate medical or something like that, that feels different as we sit here than these expenses do. Because they could have been brought to us at budget time or gone through, different approval.
We don't see an accounting of commissary, but my understanding is most counties, it's pretty healthy.
It's filed.
It depends what the definition of healthy is.
Just don't get a monthly update. I don't know what it is, but it's, like I said, unless this is an unusual county, it's pretty healthy.
Yeah, I'm not
It's a
sure what,
comment, not an editorial.
not sure what healthy is.
Yeah,
Considerably in the black.
we just want to make sure we're following the right process.
We are not considerably in the black. We're in the black, but not
considerably in the black.
considerably.
Just want to make sure we follow the right process going forward, especially if there is insufficient funds for janitorial and you make the choice that you have to have additional janitorial services, would be, should come and talk to us beforehand if there's not money in the commissary for that.
Sure. I can respect that, and it's a learning process. We're a couple years into this. The budget was very difficult to learn and tweak it where we can understand it. So I think that's probably some of this as well.
Sounds like you're getting there.
And we have a whole facility, that, it's a big facility and a lot of things go wrong, even though it's new. And so it's hard to project a lot of these things. I'm hoping as the years progress and we figure things out a little bit better, it'll be easier to do.
Is there any reason why the 3,000 and the 6,100 just couldn't be paid out of commissary?
I'm not exactly sure what we have in commissary right now. I guess if you guys choose not to give us the money, we'll have to figure out a way. We're trying to do the best we can with the budget we have, and that's, I guess, all I can say about that.
Josh, have you ever considered having inmates do that as long as they volunteer? You get that on record to prove you aren't forcing them into it.
We like to keep our inmates in the confined area. I know historically, back at the old jail, we didn't do that, but we saw a lot more escapes back then as well. We like to keep them secure. So I guess it's not our preference there are times we get them out to do things, but we prefer to keep them behind bars so we can avoid issues of trafficking and escaping and things like that.
Shannon,
We do a lot of work. They do a lot of work within the jail itself, obviously. But getting outside we're hesitant to do that so much.
Were these expenses ones that we started discussing a month ago?
We, yeah, these were due,
Yeah, sorry. We have been working with the sheriff's department on some of these expenses for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I was just asking Shannon if that was one of those that was on the list.
this was on the list of the ones that were due to Debbie by October 9th for the transfers and additionals. This was on that list. Correct.
Yes, it was advertised. What's your druthers, council? I know you two are liaisons.
We are, we're both liaisons, and Shannon, do you have a recommendation?
Yeah,
to
I
work
think
through
we
this?
talked about some of this at budget time, and I expected that we budgeted for it in 2025. That's when things would start, not prior. And my motion is to decline both of them.
The motion to decline the 70.
11,600 and then 6,100, or the 3,000 that Josh had reduced the 11,600 for.
For the
My
total.
inclination is if it started early, then you guys got to pay for it out of commissary.
And I'll second that motion. You know, we want your department to have what it needs, but we want to see it at budget time, so.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to decline the two that add up to 17,700. Any other discussion?
Yeah, let me just make sure I understand this. Are we declining the janitorial services? Is that what, and the
And the 3,000,
the
The
stuff for the,
training, Lexipol stuff. Yeah.
so
What's the total?
it was 17,700, but with the reduction of the Lexipol from 11,600 down to 3,000, the today ask was 9,100, which the motion is to decline.
So what are we approving? What amount of that 17 are we approving?
None.
None?
Mhm.
Okay.
That was my motion.
I'll just go on record saying I'm not okay with having a dirty facility and not updating our policies, and that's all I want to say about that. I understand
Completely
your
appreciate that.
logic, but
Understand.
I don't agree with
You
it.
have a right to express that. The motion has been moved and seconded to not approve the requests that are on your itinerary for the amount stated. Any other discussion? If not, we'll have all in favor? Aye.
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 Disapprove, nay? And Betsy, you did a.
Aye.
I thought so. I wasn't looking. Okay, that passes 6-0. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before Josh goes back, I mean, he's got two more down here. Can we just finish with the sheriff's office before moving to highway? Jail lit and county
Yes,
misdemeanor.
yes. Let's do that. Thank you for noting that. We have jail lit, inmate medical of 65,000, janitorial supplies of 6,000 is what I have. Is that correct?
Correct.
And
Mike.
just go ahead. I think you had some comments you wanted to make.
Now, Susan made a comment earlier that inmate medical is one of those things that's really we don't have a lot of control over. And when we assessed that situation earlier in the year, it looked like maybe $750,000 was what we were going to need, and we did not appropriate $750,000. I think we appropriated 650. So the additional 65,000 doesn't surprise me that much. The question I have is around the $6,000 for inmate supplies. I've been told that's for mattresses. Is that correct? Have those mattresses already been purchased, or are you asking for $6,000 to buy mattresses and you need them?
I'm not sure the answer to that. I can try to find out at some point during this meeting.
Again, it's procedure type things we're concerned about
Right.
instead of just doing it and then coming asking for money. If you could find out, that would be wonderful. Why don't we let you find that out real quick, and I will make the motion to approve the $65,000 for inmate medical.
It's been moved to approve the inmate medical 65,000. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Betsy. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0.
I'll speak real quick. If you can find out, Josh, I'll speak real quick to the misdemeanor fund. The misdemeanor fund has a line item for jail maintenance that has, it's in additional to the jail maintenance line item that we budget in the jail lit. And, there is $15,000 and change in there in reserves. The request is for us to allocate that $15,000 for use in the jail for maintenance. Those dollars, correct me if I'm wrong, Debbie, those are dollars that are collected by the court for fees by defendants. And those dollars are then put into the misdemeanor fund so that we can use them for jail maintenance. So the $15,000 is there and available. My motion is to go ahead and appropriate that $15,000 for jail maintenance.
Moved by Shannon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Susan. Any other discussion? Thank you for those clarifications on that. If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, passes 6-0. Thanks again, Shannon. We're gonna move. Do you have any other information, Josh? Pardon?
They've already been purchased. And why were they needed? I mean, did somebody destroy $6,000 worth of mattresses and they were needed, or? My understanding was new mattresses were purchased late last year.
Yeah, they wear out. I mean, that's the only, we got 200 inmates in there constantly. They wear out. I
What-
mean,
What
we're
kind of
not
s-
going to buy things we don't necessarily need, I wouldn't think. But that would be my response. I guess we needed them from what the jail commander was telling me.
Did we increase that line item during budget? Is that inmate supply line item?
I have to look.
Do you know how often they're purchased? Is it monthly or yearly, bi-yearly?
It's not monthly. I would say probably, I think I recall since January 23, maybe twice that Commander Guffey's said something to me about mattresses. We actually borrowed some mattresses from, I think it was Wayne County, because we needed them.
Do you know how many mattresses the $6,000 buys you? I mean, this isn't 2 king-size Serta mattresses we're talking about here.
No, I'm sure it's quite a few. I couldn't give you the exact number.
I'm just curious. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts at the sheriff's office, and I apologize. I don't know every single detail of
no worries.
everything. That's why we have leaders in place to take care of those issues in the respective divisions.
Liaisons, what's your recommendations?
Well, to me, it's less about the $6,000 than the procedure. I mean, we could have arguments from every department that their offices are too dirty or they need supplies, and we ask them to come during budget time. So, we don't want to set a precedent of having people. And again, it's the type of expense. There are some items that are just vehicle maintenance. You can't predict how many vehicles are going to break down, or inmate medical. You can't predict your medical expenses, but then there are other expenses where we would at least want you to come first, like for mattresses or some of these other things. So I will only be sitting in this chair for 6 more weeks. What kind of precedent do you want to set?
I just want to point out, I get the cleaning supplies, I get those things, but mattresses are required to bed our inmates. If we're having to borrow, and they said they borrowed mattresses from Wayne County and we don't have enough mattresses, we're putting ourselves in a liability issue over $6,000 worth of mattresses of where it's appropriated. And I think we're getting way too down deep in the weeds on that one. Cleaning supplies, I'm not going to argue cleaning or whatever, but mattresses, they are required to care for the inmates. Mattresses is part of that. So I would suggest you approve it, because we don't want to have to borrow. It looks bad. We built a new jail and we have to borrow mattresses from Wayne County Jail and the Sheriff's Department for our own inmates. So just to say, I agree that we need to do the $6,000 for the mattresses.
I think Bobby's rationale makes complete sense, and I'll go ahead and make the motion to support the purchase of the mattresses.
Second.
Is that you, Shannon? Okay, I think it's part of a discussion. I think the procedure is a point that needs to be made. If there is no more discussion, all in favor of approving this, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0. Thanks again, Josh. What are we back to? Highway Department, I believe. From the Highway Department, 3 different funds. 1176 is the administrative. We've got office manager, assistant superintendent, and superintendent, and the amounts designated. The 1176 on non-administrative is garage mechanic, dispatcher, second garage mechanic, and parts manager. Which one? Okay. Make that correction. And then out of 1173, we have truck drivers, heavy equipment.
Yeah, all three are 1176, the 530, 531, and 533. These are all of our highway employees. These are the dollar amounts reflective of the wage increases given in September,
For September through.
from September through the end of the year.
Yes.
And I will move to approve these dollar amounts.
Okay, they total $103,043. Motion made by Shannon to approve these. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'm going to give that to Kyle, because about the same time, and he hasn't gotten in the minutes yet. So seconded by Kyle. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of these additionals of 103.43, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0. Okay, on the itinerary, we did the jail lit, we did the dismemberment transfers. We have a list, a long list. Back to jail and sheriff. The order I have is jail, we have 3,000 from trash to postage and rental, 3,000 from trash to office supplies, 1,200 from professional pay to postage and rental, and that looks like it. Any discussion or a motion?
I'd like to ask Josh, what do we need $4,200 in postage supplies for jail?
It's my understanding that postage has increased. However, that's not the only thing. We had Bill Palmer actually left a few months ago, I think. It was a few months ago. So we were down to one civil process server. So my understanding is if we don't serve these civil processes personally, we end up mailing a copy out. Well, one process server was having a hard time keeping up. So less of those got served personally. More was getting mailed out. And if you try to serve something personally, you don't always catch them the first and second time. You got to go back and you got to go back. You have one person doing this. So we're mailing more civil process out. We have hired someone recently to come in and assist with civil process. I'll give you one example. It's crazy, the stack of papers. There was one case. We spent $15 on one civil process case just mailing out. So that I would say is probably the biggest factor. There was a postage increase in the last month or two. And just having one civil process person for a while, trying to get those served personally, they couldn't keep up. So
You got more than one now?
yes, we've got two.
Other questions?
I will make the motion to approve the 3,000 from trash to postage and rental, 3,000 from trash to office supplies, and 1,200 from professional pay to postage and rental.
Second.
Moved by Shannon, seconded by Susan. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of those out of jail transfers, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0. Now to the Sheriff's Department. We have 7,100 from transfers from deputies to uniforms, 7,500 from overtime to firearms and ammo. $2,250 from overtime to K-9, 1,200 from overtime to CID/road office supplies. Discussion or a motion?
We also have 400 from specialty pay to uniforms.
That was an 11th hour addition. Thank you for, that's over here on a separate sheet.
I would say that my understanding is there's extra dollars in the deputies line, and we have deputies, some new deputies that are needing uniforms. There's extra dollars in that lines because we have had a period of time without deputies. So that's why the move there. We had some concern about the moving dollars from overtime to firearms and ammo and all over to K-9 and then office and road supplies. We understand those things are needed. Josh, if you could help us out with, there's supposed to be a reimbursement, but it's not here yet. And I asked about it on October 9th when this was put in and was told, well, it would be here anytime. My concern is taking dollars out of the overtime line item and not being able to pay officers at Christmas time when, if we haven't been reimbursed for the dollar amounts we're talking about.
Sure. I emailed Debbie. She said it still was not in yet as of today. I know that we've done Operation Pullover for many, many years and the money comes. I don't know when it comes. That is, Debbie, you'd know better than me on that. I don't know when it comes. We expect it to come. We do have we always have the option, if it doesn't come, we always have the option of giving comp time. We do that. I mean, it's a normal thing. I know Harold knows that. It's a normal thing to give comp time. There are certain details you want to pay overtime, obviously, but, so I don't know. I know it's supposed to be coming. I don't know when. I know Ann has been in conversation with, I think Tony Hughes, who I know he takes care of Operation Pullover over there. I'm not up on all the details of their conversation. It's my understanding it was submitted a couple weeks ago. Again, I don't know how all that works.
Completely understand. I just wanted to express my concern and keep our fingers crossed. I think at our last meeting, I said I'm not a big believer in passing things on hope, but here we are passing things hoping that that reimbursement comes through by the end of the year. If it doesn't, that concerns me, but I understand the need for the transfer of dollars, and this is not additional appropriation. So with that, I'll make the motion to approve the transfers.
It's moved by Shannon, seconded by Harold. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of these transfers under the Sheriff's Department, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It passes 6-0. Thanks again, Josh. Under EMA, we have transfers, $50 from telephone to office supplies, $2,286.60 from meeting and training to office supplies, $801.51 from vehicle maintenance to office supplies, $367.26 from office machine maintenance to office supplies. Apparently a need for office supplies at EMA. Any discussion or motion?
This is about $3,500 going into office supplies. Do we have any idea what it's to be used for?
He had some of his equipment breakdown. Copier, I think it was old. So he has to purchase a new one.
And the money's there.
Okay, copier. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Susan,
Second.
second by Shannon. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of these EMA transfers, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0. Clerk perpetuation fund. This is $8,000 from repair and maintenance to office supplies. Discussion or a motion? Motion by Harold,
Second.
second by Shannon. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the 8,000 transfer and clerk perpetuation fund, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0.
While we're on the clerk, I'd like to commend them for their conduction of the election. They did a bang-up job with a
Yes,
ton of turnout.
yes, them and voter, yes. Those departments do a fine job, as do many, but that's a major task, especially in
Shannon.
the presidential election.
Absolutely, Shannon. I was about to jump in and say the exact same thing. They did a heck of a job, and we're really in debt to them and to all the poll workers and everybody involved for maintaining election integrity. Like you said, they did a bang up job.
Amen. Never seems to be an issue in Henry County, so kudos.
Amen.
Prosecutor pretrial divert. Prosecutor's office, we have small amounts, $39.02 for miscellaneous expense to Social Security, $70.87 from miscellaneous expense to part-time. Seems minor and legit. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, and I suspect we're gonna have a whole bunch of them that look like that next month.
I would not be surprised. Motion made by Shannon,
Second.
second by Susan. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0. Okay, thank you, Debbie, for passing along the Middletown Public Library. I just did not find it in my inbox. So this, council has a responsibility of appointing and or reappointing certain positions. We have two on the docket today for Henry County libraries. The first one's from Middletown. Reappoint Kelly Myers to another 4-year term on the library board at the Middletown Fall Creek Township Public Library. Gives some information, a little bit of a resume and kudos to Kelly. Do I have a motion to approve this reappointment for 4 years?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion made by Betsy.
Second.
Who wants it? Harold. Yes. Oh, was it Kyle? Okay, well, I heard something in stereo on each side of my ears, so we'll give it to Kyle if that's okay, Shannon. Okay, if no other discussion, all in favor of this reappointment, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0. Now, the second one we have is from the Henry County Newcastle Public Library.
Adam Warwas submitted his full resume for us to take a look at.
Yes.
And,
I
course.
noticed.
he works at the REMC. I worked with Adam in Ohio and here in Newcastle. He expressed interest in being part of the public library when he moved over here from Ohio. And he eventually did get appointed to the library board, and it'd be my pleasure to make the motion to reappoint him.
Okay, motion made by Shannon with verbal recommendation reference.
Yeah, and I'll second that. I know Adam just as a customer, and he's very easy to work with, kind and helpful, and I'd be happy to second.
Okay, double kudos for Adam. Have a motion and a second. All in favor of this reappointment for Adam to Newcastle Henry County Public Library, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0. Now we have a resolution. Adjust the amount to be repaid as a result of previous transfer of funds. It's resolution number 24-11-13-007. Whereas on May 8th, Henry County Council adopted a resolution of 2024-05-08-002, under which it approved the transfer of the sum of $80,000 from the general fund to Henry County Emergency Medical Service, or EMS, and determined that such sums are to be repaid from the EMS fund to the general fund on or before December 31st of this year. Whereas the county council subsequently determined that the revenue allocated to the general fund should be used to assist in the payment of salaries of persons working in the county's EMS service, whose salaries are paid from the EMS fund, whereas in order to effectuate the transfer of funds for the payment of salaries from the EMS fund, the common council wishes to offset the amount appropriated for payment of salaries from the EMS fund against the amount that is required to be repaid pursuant to resolution 2024-05-08-002 from May. The sum of $25,601 has been approved by the common council to pay for salaries of persons working in the county EMS, shall be offset against the sum previously transferred to the EMS fund under the resolution from May. In order to determine the sum that must be transferred from the EMS fund to the general fund, and the sum of $54,399 shall be repaid to the general fund from the EMS fund no later than December 31st, 2024. Do you have a motion?
Yeah, I would like to say that this is just like appropriating the dollars for the salaries from September through the end of the year for the other departments. EMS is not paid out of the general fund. However, an $80,000 loan was made to them out of the general fund earlier in the year. And rather than appropriating dollars or adding additional dollars to them and asking them to repay the $80,000, this just deducts the $25,601 from the 80,000 and leaves them with the 54,399 to be repayable to the general fund by December 31st, or whatever such time Debbie would like to have that prior to December 31st.
SAP.
With that, I'll make the motion to approve this ordinance.
Okay, motion by Shannon.
Second.
Who wants it? Kyle. We're trying to even out the motions, so yes, Kyle. So those two sums add up to 80,000. So it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? If not, a motion, we have the motion. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 6-0. Okay, council, I know earlier today you got a follow-up from Stephanie about the handbook changes. I saw Shannon ask for something that's in your email. I won't go into the detail, but I think request a little bit more information with the handbook showing the changes. Reminder, the Knights of Pythias Parade is Saturday. You got a note or an email from Corey that the annual Henry County RDC annual update is at Defer Voren on Friday, the 22nd at noon. I usually try to attend that. It's educational. Usually Jason from Baker Tilly does a nice overview of TIF. So it's an educational meeting as well. I let you know that I serve on the ICCA, the County Council Association Legislative Committee. That's ramping up. Those become bi-weekly meetings on every other Friday starting in December. Being a long session, it's going to be an interesting year. A lot of committees studying issues that are going to very likely affect our budget, especially with the election. See what happens. Chamber of Commerce Christmas Walk on December the 5th, a Thursday, since Chamber wasn't here. Anything else from the council? We did this in an hour. This was a very, very long itinerary. And yes.
I just want to add, I thought Mandy was going to be here today. She did announce that, and we knew a week or so ago, but she did announce at the commissioners meeting, she was awarded 100% of the grant that she requested for ALS from the Community Foundation of just over $47,000. So that's good. She's just waiting on some paperwork, and then they will be ready to go. She gave us also an update on the amount of money that's been collected since August 1st for balance billing. It's a total of about $518 for balance billing. So we knew that balance billing wasn't going to bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars because most people qualify for hardship and it gets written off. So, but just to update, because I know you guys were interested in balance billing. But yes, congratulations to Henry County EMS on their award.
Yes, I know Shannon and I listened to online. I don't know if anyone else did or not, but very, very educational. Yes, you had something that you actually shared at the commissioners meeting, but not all of us were online. So if you, it's another positive, I think.
Yes, thank you. Now I'm going to say this with a little bit of humor. Having nice mattresses and taking care of your inmates and a clean facility pays off. We got an email the other day from Lisa Scroggins, who is, she owns Quality Correctional. That's who we utilize for our inmate medical needs. And she emailed me this, and I'll just say, I'll extract really what's important from this email. I wanted to personally reach out to you regarding the bill scrubbing fees outlined in your contract with QCC. In the current contract, we negotiated retaining 25% of the savings our bill scrubbing services net. So they were keeping 25% of that. We felt this was a necessary risk premium due to, we'll just say, a past history and falling out with QCC. Okay. She goes on to say, after working in the new facility and the new administration and recognizing your commitment to safety and culture, we feel 25% is excessive. Attached, you'll find invoices for the first 3 quarters of the year, and she reduced that from 25% to 12%. So they only retained, and going forward, that's going to be the case. She said, we're happy to do this to demonstrate that we appreciate the partnership with Henry County, the work that has been put forth to correct the scenarios that resulted in us severing our contract with the jail previously. So I thought that was some good news. The sheriff, he ran numbers. He believes this may save us in the ballpark of 100,000. I don't know how he got those numbers, but that he wanted me to relay that to you guys as well. Thank you.
Well, that is a positive, which we appreciate hearing. You compare our old jail with the new, and it's probably the most improved situation in Indiana. Did you have your finger on, I saw you light up. Were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. I'm getting fewer calls about the roads in Henry County. We're seeing improvements there. Oh, okay. I wondered what those hand signals were. I kind of wondered. Getting fewer calls. Used to get a lot of calls on highway and certain roads. Not getting those as much these days. Health department with the extra monies from the state. We just see a lot of improvements. You turn on social media and you get a lot of negatives. People just are negative Nancy's and Debbie Downers. But I think overall, we have a lot of positive things going on. So kudos to department heads who do a really good job here. And with the salary increases, I just think we have some positive trends going on. So appreciate everybody involved.
Absolutely, Ken. And
Else
I
from the
think
council. Hey.
I just to echo your remarks, like it's some of us have one last meeting as members of the council, and I'm just from my 5 times on the council, or excuse me, my 5 years on the council, and golly, Harold, you've had quite a few more years. But the progress we've made in recent years has just been really, I think, remarkable. Not to, pat ourselves on the back too hard, but I do think we have a lot to be proud of. And going from the worst jail in the state to the best, arguably, that's something to be really proud of. And so much more. The world is completely chaotic and upside down, but I think locally we can feel good about what we've gotten done, and also doing it the right way. So.
Thank you, Betsy. Anybody else?
I just have, go ahead, Harold.
I'd like to take this opportunity, may not get it at our next meeting, but I'll be finishing up my time at the council at the end of this year. I got one more meeting. And I must say, I've really thoroughly enjoyed my job, serving the people of the county. I'm very glad that I got involved in this. And I want to wish all you people, council, county heads, everyone, the best to you. You've been terrific to work with. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold.
Harold's had 20 good years on the council, and I remember that because I was in high school when he came in. He recruited some young people to help on his campaign, and I was
You didn't have to say that, Betsy.
No, I mean it only positively. You've given your entire life to service in the county, of course, but 20 years on the council is to be respected, and I don't know, you've always been a role model of mine, and I'm just glad I got to know you a long time ago.
Thank you.
I agree with those statements.
Yeah, your service is very much appreciated, Harold. I just wanted to say that, Braden, your efforts in training and retention of your employees that was put to the commissioners this morning did not go unnoticed by the council. Appreciate your efforts.
Anybody else? Like wrapping up a good year, especially with the raises and things going on, as we mentioned. So if not,
Motion to adjourn.
okay, motion to adjourn. I guess Robert says we don't have to have a second.